And now, forecast first on Ozarks Fox News.
We haven't seen a lot of heavy rain so far, but we are beginning to find some setting up now near and south of the state line. Some pockets of heavy shower activity passing from west to east there. This is where we have a flash flood watch in effect through Friday morning. Maybe 1 to 3 inches of rainfall overnight tonight with locally higher totals possible there. Notice the flood watch has been trimmed out of the Springfield area. That doesn't mean we can't have some showers. We could see a few of those through Friday morning, through at least maybe mid-morning on Friday. After that, it looks like mostly cloudy skies as we head into the afternoon. So some sunshine, and that'll push temperatures into the 80s. Still looking at a lingering chance for a shower or thunderstorm through the afternoon hours. And we'll find a bit more of that into the weekend. But the bigger story this weekend will be temperatures heading higher. It's going to get hot again late in the weekend. More on that coming up. Ozarks Fox News at 9 starts now.
Real, new, now. This is Ozarks Fox News at 9.
We don't know what threats or what overt threats he made or verbal threats towards people yet, but just his presence, and then in light of what's happened in our nation in the last several weeks, I mean, his intent obviously was to cause chaos here, and he did that.
Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for Ozarks Fox News at 9. I'm John Adams.
And I'm Jennifer Abreu. We have been following our top story tonight. A man has been arrested after walking into a Walmart neighborhood market with guns and 100 rounds of ammunition.
We want to start off our team coverage this evening in light of what has taken place. Our Jesse Inman has been at the scene all night. He has reactions from customers who are in the store near Republic Road and Farm Road 135.
Our Madison Heaver spoke with the man who says he confronted that armed man and will tell us what he experienced and what led him to those actions.
And while that situation did not result in an active shooter situation, our Francis Lynn has been learning more about what to do if that ever takes place.
Now we want to begin with our Jesse Inman, who has been at that Walmart store where all of this took place earlier today. Jesse, what can you tell us about what happened?
Well, guys, I'll go ahead and kind of refresh people for what happened in this situation earlier today. It was around just after 4 o'clock, 4:09 is when police got the call, and Lieutenant Mike Lucas from Springfield Police laid it all out for us. This call actually came in as an active shooter call, and they responded within 3 minutes here at the Walmart neighborhood market here on Republic Road and Golden. Now, the 20-year-old male was putting on body armor in the parking lot and then walked into the Walmart with a tactical rifle around his neck and also had a handgun on his side. That obviously caused major panic inside the Walmart. The store manager pulled the fire alarm and evacuated people out of the building. Then the armed man pushed around a shopping cart, recording the chaos on his phone as people were scurrying out of the Walmart. Now, an off-duty fireman was armed and challenged the man at gunpoint and held him at bay. Now, we're not really sure what he was saying to people as they walked out of the Walmart here, but we do know that that firearm was loaded when he was inside the Walmart. And we did speak to a few people who were here at the Walmart as all of this unfolded, and they shared their experience with us.
This siren goes off, a real loud siren goes off for like a second, and then they say suspected fire, possible fire, exit immediately. And there's an employee standing there, and I was like, looked at him like that, and he's like, I don't know. And this lady was screaming at us, she said, get out now, get out, get out, just yelling, and we're like, oh my gosh, I don't smell a fire. And not really a panic, but everybody's scared. They were just concerned and just had no idea what was going on. We had no idea what was going on at all, so.
Was just sitting there getting ready to get out of my car when I heard off to my left someone yelling, is that a real rifle? There was just that brief moment of, I saw what was around his neck and realized he could have grabbed that at any minute. And so just kudos to everybody that was around me that made me feel safe. We're being terrorized by our own citizens, and it has to stop.
There's an off-duty fireman that stopped this, and he had a weapon on him. So if it wouldn't have been for that guy, who knows what could have happened today.
Now, there's no word right now on any formal charges that have come for this 20-year-old male. I understand we have some legal perspective back in the studio. So for that, I will toss it back to you guys in Springfield. Jesse Inman, Ozarks First.
All right, thank you, Jesse. And yes, we do. We wanted to get more perspective on what happened at that Walmart neighborhood market today.
Yes, that's right. And for that, we have criminal defense attorney Dee Wampler with us now. Mr. Wampler, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Certainly, I'm glad to be here.
So we wanted to talk to you about just going through Missouri's gun laws. We are a constitutional carry state. Can you explain what the rules are and what gun owners' rights are?
You pretty well have the right to carry a gun, a long gun, anywhere if you're 17. You can carry a smaller gun if you're 18. And of course, if you buy them from a federal firearms dealer, the laws are a little bit different. There are about 17 places where you cannot carry a gun, period. Obviously, like a post office, a police station, a church, places like that. There's 17 different places where you can't carry. Now, as far as the laws go, they go from the lowest to the very top. You have felonious assault. If you carry a weapon it's loaded and you've threatened somebody, well, that's a felony. There are several different degrees of that, first and second degree. Carrying a weapon in a rude, threatening, or angry manner, a weapon that is readily capable of lethal use. So if you carry a weapon in a rude, threatening, or angry manner, which is in the eyes of the beholder, whatever a reasonable person would see, that's a felony. You can't do that, especially if you're intoxicated or under a court order of some kind or illegal alien. We have all kinds of laws like that. And then, of course, we have peace disturbance and common assault. Everybody pretty well understands what those are. They carry up to a year in jail or a $1,000 fine. So we have a range, but keep in mind the Second Amendment is a pretty strong amendment. Next to the First Amendment, founding fathers thought the Second Amendment was pretty important. So the right to care and bear arms is pretty strong. Now, people are skittish today, and this is not a good time to be exercising your otherwise constitutional rights. We'll have to wait and see. This will be a fact-specific driven case to see what charges are filed, if any. But carrying a gun is like driving a car. You really have to be licensed to do it. And, you know, it's a deadly and dangerous weapon, just like a car. So I would urge anybody that's interested in knowing what the law is and what to carry, where to carry, get a permit. Go to a class and learn what you're doing. It's just a good idea to know what the law is.
Definitely. All right, Dee, thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you for being here with us. Now we continue our team coverage on today's incident. Our Madison Heaver spoke with the man who says he is the one who held the armed man at gunpoint until police arrived. Madison, what did he say happened inside that store today?
Yeah, that man is a former firefighter. He says he detained the armed man outside the Walmart neighborhood market with his own firearm until police arrived. Now, this former firefighter has asked us to refrain from using his name or showing his face. He was carrying a concealed weapon and held the armed man in his 20s until police arrived about 30 seconds later. He says this former firefighter was shopping for groceries with his wife at that Walmart when staff pulled the fire alarm. He says after that it was chaos. Staff were pushing everyone toward the door. He says he's hopeful that by stepping in, he prevented something terrible from happening.
And I walked up to the grass and asked him if he was the male inside, and he stated yes, and I drew my weapon, told him to put his hands in the air. He complied, was compliant the whole time. He was videotaping on his phone, which was kind of odd, but he complied with my request that he keep his hand in the air, and he asked me to come up there and take his weapon from him. I told him to keep his hands off of it, to keep his hands in the air, and that when the police arrived, that they would take his weapon. I've been in public safety for a long time, and even though I'm no longer in public safety, I still feel that I can still protect people if I need to, and that was my intention. Hopefully my actions prevented something like El Paso from happening.
And the former firefighter told me he didn't know if the armed man was ready to inflict pain or if this was just a protest. Police say they were thankful for the quick response from both the former firefighter and officers.
All right, Madison, thanks. Now, we wanted to make sure we are telling both sides of this discussion, so we sat down with the owner of Eagle Armory in North Springfield.
We asked Zach Tierhark about responsible gun ownership. He says the vast majority of gun owners would never do something like this, and owning a firearm is about defense.
I'd say the whole point of either open carrying or concealed carrying A firearm is not to get attention. It's definitely not to make a political point. It's to protect the people around you and protect yourself. And so obviously, behaving like this is definitely irresponsible and counterproductive, especially with recent events.
Tierhark says there are events where people publicly display their guns, but it's usually a pre-planned event and the public knows it's happening.
He also believes the man put his own life in danger by displaying his weapon in that manner.
We also reached out to Walmart tonight to find out what the store's policy is with carrying guns on store property. Randy Hargrove, a spokesperson for Walmart, says that each Walmart location abides by local and state laws. Therefore, the store here would follow local laws and, of course, Missouri's laws on carrying firearms.
Now, we did have our crew that was out on scene check the front area of the Walmart tonight. We found no signs posted about carrying or restricting firearms being brought into that store. Well, active shooter drills are becoming more prevalent in the wake of the 2 mass shootings that took place in the U.S. last weekend.
Our Frances Lynn had been working on this story since yesterday, even before the Walmart incident from today. And she spoke to a local police officer who reviewed some basic active shooter drills. Frances, what did you learn?
So I spoke to Sergeant Eric Schroeder, who talked about the run, hide, fight techniques and which ones to use during an active shooter situation.
Run, hide, fight is not sequential. It's not run, then hide, then fight. It's based on the situation and where you find yourself in of what to choose to do.
Sergeant Eric Schroeder with the police department says run, hide, fight is a technique taught by Homeland Security.
If you're able to get away, getting away from the incident is the first priority if you can.
For example, if you're out in public and able to run away fast.
So if you're somewhere and you hear gunshots, you see somebody with a weapon, the first inclination should be get as far away as you can.
If you're unable to get away, trapped in a building, hiding would be the next best option.
The word hide can also be used as barricade. We wouldn't just hide in here, we would lock the door, put furniture, put different things between the bad guy and us.
And lastly, you should fight only if you really have to.
Department of Homeland Security suggests fighting as a last resort. It's better to fight and attempt to disarm or attempt to take out the shooter than it is to sit there and just wait to become a victim.
He also said it's important to always be aware.
We hear gunfire, we hear loud banging noises. One of the things that people do is they go into a denial phase. They hear the gunshots, but they think it's a car backfiring. They think it's construction. What people need to be more aware of is when you hear the pop, 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 if your instinct is that's not right, something's wrong, we should be reacting and not sitting there and being curious about what that sound is.
And if you're in an active shooter situation with a gun, it would be your decision whether or not to try and stop the shooter. Schroeder said, try to only do so if you're sure of your abilities and safety first.
All right, thanks, Frances. Good tips. Now, we are still looking for updates to the story from today where that armed man walked into a Walmart. He has been arrested. He has not been charged yet at Let's Check.
We will post those updates on our website, ozarksfirst.com. Well, time to toss it over to Jamie real quick for another check of the weather. Jamie.
Yeah, and right now, John, watching heavy rain beginning to set up over northwest Arkansas, where flooding is going to be a possibility overnight tonight. But the trend through the weekend, drier and turning hotter. I'll have more on that next.
And now, weather. Real new now with Chief Meteorologist Jamie Warrener.
Well, it was a wet day across southwest Missouri and in northwest Arkansas, but the heavy rain stayed just to our west. And boy, I tell you what, there are areas here in eastern Kansas that got walloped last night into this morning with over 6 inches in pockets in those areas. Now we're finding heavy rain setting up to the south. Here in Springfield, not finding too much out there. Can't rule out a few light showers over the next several hours or overnight tonight into Friday morning. But I think the worst of it is going to stay to our south, probably closer to the state line and especially south of the state line. And it looks like we're starting to set up for very heavy rainfall here over the next several hours over especially Carroll County and Boone County. A lot of the short-term model guidance hinting at maybe 2 to 4 inches of rainfall falling across Carroll County. That could lead to some flash flooding concerns in areas like Eureka Springs and Berryville. So a heads up for you guys. That rain also going to be extending east into Boone County, possibly into the Harrison area. Looks like overnight tonight, there are a couple different ingredients that are coming together for that threat of very heavy rainfall near and south of the state line, actually extending from Oklahoma across northern Arkansas. One is a little pocket of leftover upper level energy that's located over northwest Arkansas right now. That's what's generating the core of heavy rain that we're finding in northwest Arkansas at this time. That'll continue to push off to the east. Plus, we've got the same ingredients that we had last night that generated very heavy rainfall over eastern Kansas. This go round, though, it looks like it's going to be a bit further south. So northern Oklahoma across northern Arkansas appears to be where we're going to have that threat of very heavy rainfall overnight tonight and into the Friday morning time frame. Now, once we get to Friday afternoon, that threat of rain will be fading and slipping off to the southeast. And we'll find, I think, partly to mostly cloudy skies developing. That means some sunshine as we get into the afternoon hours. A front will be slipping in from the north, and that may be enough to trigger a few very spotty showers or isolated thunderstorms. I don't expect anything widespread in the afternoon, but given how soupy the atmosphere is, those showers, even during the afternoon hours, even though they may be rather isolated in nature, still could put down some decent totals. Here's our hour-by-hour forecast, and for overnight tonight, look and see where the rain focuses, especially along and south of the state line, although I do think that threat for showers will extend up to about Highway 60. North of Highway 60, I really expect very little, if any, in the way of rainfall tonight or on Friday. Throughout the morning hours on Friday, you can see how that threat for rain continues near and south of the state line, but it fades as we get into the afternoon, and then for the afternoon hours, just a few spotty, mainly light showers. Especially closer to that front as it drops in from the north. Take a look at the rainfall totals being forecast near and south of the state line. 1 to 3 inches a possibility, but there are going to be pockets in there where over 3 inches of rainfall could fall, and that would lead to the risk of some flooding. Temperatures tonight dropping to about 70 here in Springfield, with highs ranging from the mid-80s north, maybe even up around 86 or 87 to the north, to lower 80s to the south. Here in Springfield, I think we're going to get up to about 85 tomorrow afternoon, and the pattern over the weekend is one where that summer ridge is going to be bullying its way back to the north and east into the Ozarks. We'll be pushing that frontal boundary, that corridor of stormy weather, back across the area. So we're still going to have a chance for a few showers and thunderstorms Saturday and Sunday, especially for the morning hours. But the trend will be for hotter and drier conditions. I think Sunday looks partly cloudy, mostly dry, highs in the low 90s, mostly dry on Monday, and in the mid 90s for highs before another front cruises across the area Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening.
Well, pretty hot start to next week, but if we can just get to Wednesday and Thursday, it looks not too bad.
And that's the way the summer's gone. I mean, these
Yeah.
heat waves have not lasted very long, and then we find milder temperatures moving back in. Here's our Viewers Club number for tonight, 240-653, jackpot $500.
All right, Jamie, thank you. Well, still to come, we check in with our Crystal Blair down in Branson.
She'll tell us about a proposed highway project that could be coming to Taney County. That's after the break. Stay with us.
Well, new at 9 tonight, a proposed highway project in Taney County was the focus of a public meeting this evening.
Residents were able to talk directly with those behind this project. Our Crystal Blair joins us live now from Branson. And Crystal, what can you tell us? What happened tonight?
Well, Jennifer, this is an extensive project, and I was told that the Taney County applied for a $25 million grant. They actually reapplied for this grant to get this project done, and they're saying that if it does get done, they're going to have two driving forces: driver safety and reducing congestion.
I went through and talked to all the landowners and got them to agree with the alignment.
That was Devin Huff, Taney County Highway Administrator. The meeting, hosted by Taney County and Great River Engineering, took place at Hollister High School this evening. Now, their plan is to build a highway that begins at Birch Street and Industrial Park near Menards, eventually connecting to BB Highway and Coon Creek Road, and then on to Missouri 76 in Kirbyville. This project will cover a lot of property. Now, also, they did, the reason why the county reapplied is because they were not accepted when they applied for the grant last year, but they were told that they were very close. So as a result of that, they reapplied, and they're waiting to find out, and they'll know in December. And if they are approved this time, they said that they're going to start construction in December of 2021 or early in 2022. Reporting live in Branson, Crystal Blair, Ozarks First.
All right, Crystal, thank you. An extensive project. We'll keep following that story in Branson. We'll be right back with more right here on Ozarks Fox.
We will continue to post updates to our top story tonight on our website, ozarksfirst.com.
We'll be right back with more news from our nation's capital. Stay right here.